Hey everybody, welcome back to another review on Razor's Edge. Today, we're going to be looking at the Peter Parker Quick Change to Spider-Man figure from Spider-Man 3. He stands at about 5 inches tall. The purpose of this figure, as you can see the slashes across his abdomen right here, uh, this is to recreate the scene in Spider-Man 3 when Harry, as the new Goblin, picks up Peter from his moped and slashes him across the abdomen right there. But as you can see, it's not a terrible figure. A couple people have reviewed it. Sorry about that, I was readjusting my hand. Um, a couple people have reviewed him and said he's a terrible figure. I don't think he is, especially playability wise. He's not super terrible. But if I turn him around here, be careful. You can tell it's just a plastic part that goes around Pete. And he stands like okay. You gotta have him like half of his, I'll zoom in there. Half of his torso has to be open or else it's not gonna close all the way. And with the head sculpt, Hasbro, I wouldn't say they did a really, really terrible job. Like, you could tell it looks like Tobey Maguire. Um, but it's not terrible by any means. The Spider-Man head sculpt, as you will see in a moment here, is right here, if it can focus. You can tell the Spider-Man head does look a lot better than the Tobey Maguire head. Because this doesn't look anything like his 2002 counterpart head at all. That one actually did look good, which I will do a review eventually. I'm getting to it. Um, but you can tell like they did a better job with that face than the Mary Jane head on the 6-inch figure, which is just terrible. Which I'm going to review her in a little bit. But let's get into what actually makes the figure shine, and that is removing the costume. So the figure comes in 3 pieces. This is all one molded plastic piece, and it does stand on its own. This side is his right arm, and it clips around his arm, but you gotta watch so it can stay in place. And where's that other piece? Oh, it was on his arm. This is for his left arm, and that goes on this side of the torso. And I'm gonna move these off to the side. Here is Pete, or I should say Spider-Man unmasked with Peter Parker head. I am gonna retouch this with a Sharpie, because I've been customizing some figures, and it's not terrible, but I'd like to fix it. And you can tell he can pop his head off. Hold on 1 second. It's hard to do it with one hand, and then you have a torso spider hand. Let me slide. Let me sit him down and do it this way. And let's push his head in there. There we go. He popped it in. So this head's a little bit looser than his human head, but that's okay. Because I honestly like having the both of them. But usually I like having, I don't know why, but the unmasked head just looks really unique on this body. I know it's a bad face sculpt, but even taking pictures from behind him, it doesn't look too bad. He's very, very good at doing certain poses. He's limited. He does not have getting into the articulation. His arm can go up like about that far, which is very, very good for a 5-inch figure. They go down that much. The piece right here under his arm, under his armpit, I should say, hinders the arm from going any further. He does punch out with the arm. Goes out about that far, which is the standard. Rotates all the way around 360 degrees. His head will rotate 360 degrees because it is on a type of like a peg, but it's not like Marvel Legends by any means. It's like a simple plug and play peg. He does have a hinge at the leg that can kick outward that far. He can do the splits, and it does rotate. It won't go back because of his sculpted butt, but he does have double jointed knees, which they kind of look like the same ones on the Double Punch Spider-Man that I already reviewed. They're very thin on the knee, which I do not understand why on Hasbro's part. He has no foot hinge or rotation, and that's pretty much all for this Spidey. And very quickly, I will pull out MJ. Oh, his head popped off. One second. There you go. So that's Pete. Here is MJ. MJ, this is part of the Sandman Build-A-Figure wave from the 2007 or 2008. I can't remember what year at the top of my head. I got her loose, how she is. As you can tell, I already did that. Oh my god, that's horrible. It does not, you can tell it does not look like Kirsten. It kind of does, but it kind of doesn't. But it's really bad. It's a really bad face sculpt. Articulation wise, like you can change this head out. Her hair hinders her looking up. She can only look up about that high, down a little, very little bit. Her head rotates side to side. You gotta force it. It is on a ball joint, but you gotta force it a little bit so she can turn. I believe it's her ab right here is where the main joint is. So you can tell there's a peg in there that moves her body around a little bit. So you get a little bit of movement. Her arms, like Peter, can go up all the way and rotate 360 degrees. Single jointed elbows that come around the 80-degree mark. Her hands will swivel. They do not bend. Originally, this was supposed to come with the plank that she would try to hit Doc Ock with at Spider-Man 2. And, like, the base, it looked like a sand base, which I don't know why, because this is obviously the Spider-Man 2 dress. And the same thing with the arm on this side. Her legs is where the figure gets even a little bit more iffy. They can kick out, I think, about this far, which isn't very good. And then the same on the other side. Even when you have the both of them down, it goes down a little bit more, but then the rubber dress gets in the way. As you can tell, she has double jointed knees, which bend very far. Hinge at the boots. I guess, yeah, they're high heel boots. There's a swivel here, and there's also a hinge in there. But, I mean, honestly, having her in the collection, I think it's worth it. And she does stand on her own. I had to fix her a couple times because she would fall off the shelf a lot. But eventually, nowadays, she stands. She can stand without the stand, and Peter can't. I think he's drunk. But that's the review with Spider-Man 3 Quick Change Peter Parker and the Spider-Man 3 Mary Jane from the Sandman Bathwave. If you like this, be sure to check out my other reviews. I'm going to do a lot more coming soon. Until then, stay rockin'.